The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for our webinar on how to earn excellent cap rates with minimal repairs in San Antonio, Texas. I'm Joseph Pickett. I'm the owner of ImpactInvestingTexas.com. Please note that this is a webinar presentation, but the slides were sent to you by email for reference this morning. We'll send you a recording to the presentation later this week. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to John Mahaka. John's a licensed real estate agent in the state of Texas. He's a 13-year expert in real estate in San Antonio. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Joe. Well, welcome, everyone. And I'm just going to briefly go over real estate investing, what we're doing. And there's unlimited ways to invest in real estate. And there's unlimited opportunity with today's market, with what happened with the banking crisis back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we're still in a very shaky economy. Banks aren't lending to first-time home buyers, and millennials are not buying property. They're staying with their parents, or they're looking for a cheap rent apartment or a little duplex or something, and that's where we come in. So I'll just give you a brief description of my background. I started buying real estate in San Antonio, Texas, and after September 11th. And when I started, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything about paint, anything about sheetrock, flooring, granites, electrical, plumbing. I was absolutely clueless. My background is computer science. I studied at Northeastern University in Boston. But I took the discipline of computer science and I applied it to real estate, and it's been a true blessing. I did take real estate classes, and I'm always involved in real estate classes. 13 years later, I always learn something new when I listen to an expert speak about real estate. So the number one thing is, where do I get the money to buy real estate? I mean, I want to buy 100 houses. Where do I get the money? Well, the easiest way is if you have a rich uncle or rich parents and that can fund your project, you know, $50 million, etc. But most of us don't have a rich uncle or, you know, parents that have $50 million laying around. So you have to physically go out and make calls and find private investors, hard money lenders, and or banks that are willing to lend you money in this economy. And it's a full-time job. Joseph Pickett works, you know, 20, 30, 40 hours a week looking for private investors and private cash buyers, and that's how I do it. I buy now after 13 years. I buy using my own cash and or private money and or the bank line of credit, and that's the best way to go. If you can get a bank to give you a line of credit, that's the best way to go, and the easiest way to go. But the best way to go is, I apologize, is private investors. Basically, right now, we're focused 100% on single-family homes. We're buying all the one-bedroom, one-bath, all the two-bedroom, one-bath, and some three-bedroom, one-bath. And basically, we're getting up to 12% cap rate. I'm happy with 10%. That's my goal, to get a 10% cap. I've made 15% cap. I've made 20% cap. But right now, with the economics in San Antonio, a 10% cap is about right. And San Antonio is primarily where I buy my real estate. I'm going to expand the company. We're going to go national and international, but I'm just going to keep focused on the San Antonio market right now. It's been going. They found oil south of San Antonio and west of San Antonio. So there's been over the past 5 years. There's been billions and billions of dollars pouring into San Antonio, Texas, which has made things really nice for me because I made a lot of money in real estate. And basically what I do is we focus on buying a house, say for $50,000, and then we owner finance it for $75,000. The buyers are local electricians, plumbers, roofers, oil employees that make up to $100,000 a year, but they don't have credit for whatever reason. They just don't have credit, and the reasons are unlimited. It's one excuse after another. and these are good people. You know, they love America, and they want to own their own house, and they do not want to live in an apartment. So, you know, the demand for affordable housing is extremely high right now in the economics here in town. And we keep everything affordable. We're not very greedy. Our interest rate is 10%. There's other investors in town that charge 12%, 15%, 17% on their investment. But I found that if you keep it affordable, the people that are buying your houses send their friends and family over, and that really helps with the marketing. And how does this work for you? So basically, you have to go out and find private money, line of credit, or however you hard money, however you fund your project. And the house usually needs work, you know, some electrical, foundation, etc. We do everything through attorneys, so everything is done legally, and no money is ever wired to my account. Everything goes through title companies. And the one thing that we do once we purchase a house, we clean it up, and you know, we might slap a coat of paint, interior, exterior, but for the most part, I'm just cleaning up houses right now. Once we clean up the house, we'll start marketing, and a typical house will sell anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 down. I am working out a deal right now where the house is going for $79,900, and they want to. I'm sorry, $89,900, and the buyer wants to put $50,000 down and needs me to carry $39,000 mortgage at 10% for 30 years, and then she can refinance in 1 to 3 years. And it's a lot of work to get these qualified buyers. So there's a lot of people that, you know, don't have proof of where they get their money. There might be a drug dealer, or there might be somebody that isn't doing things in an ethical manner, and we don't sell houses to that type of people. I mean, and they come in with money. They come in with $10,000, $20,000, but they don't have any proof of where they got the money. So I personally don't deal with that. If you buy a house and if you want to deal with that type of client, you can. I don't recommend it. I don't want the DEA or the FBI knocking on my door, and that's happened before when I first got started. That's another story. Our monthly payments range anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month, and those $500, it covers principal, insurance, taxes, and interest. So everything's all inclusive. And the buyer has to have a Chase account or whatever account you want them to have, so they can do direct deposit to your check account every month. And also, say for example you have $50,000 and you buy a house, and you want your money out in a year or two. You can either refinance the house through a bank or sell it to a note buyer. And normally note buyers give you up to 80 to 90%, depending on the location and how qualified the buyer is. And note buying, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and so that's another book. But I'm just touching bases on that. And here's an example of what we do. You know, we can talk all day about numbers and statistics and paint and granite and roof, but this is the deal that Joe did about maybe 10 months ago. And so he bought the house for $51,000 cash out of his retirement account, and he found a buyer, Craigslist. This house was pretty bad shape. It needed foundation, it needed electrical, it needed flooring, it needed kitchen, it needed a bathroom, it needed everything. It needed about $50,000 to $80,000 worth of repairs. So he bought it for $51,000, and we sold it for $80,000 owner finance. I think he's getting $800 a month or more. And he made absolutely no repairs. He didn't even clean the house, so that was a pretty good deal. And the appreciation in this subdivision has been so dramatic this past year. If he forecloses on that house, he could probably sell this house for $80,000 cash as is. So pretty good deal there. And this is a typical deal. This is a type of deal I do every day. And here are some of the common questions. What about foreclosures? I have a lot of real estate, so I probably do maybe 3 to 10 foreclosures a year, and it just happens, you know. Millionaires, they foreclose on their house. Hollywood movie stars, they foreclose on their house. It just happens. I don't love foreclosures, but it doesn't matter to me because I get the house back. For example, I sold a house about 12 years ago. I sold it $10,000 down, $1,000 a month for 30 years. The individual paid me $1,000 a month for 10 years, and then he just stopped paying. I foreclosed on him. 30 days later, I sold the house again, $10,000 down, $1,000 a month. So I don't want a foreclosure, but I'll take them because I'll make more money, especially with the appreciating market that we're in. So it's very simple how we qualify buyers. We do look at their background, their job history, and their salary, and then I personally interview all buyers. So it's about ethics, you know. And how do I find buyers? Just the internet, open houses, and flyers and signs. It's pretty simple marketing 101. And how long does it take to find a buyer? Oh, I have found buyers in advance to buy a house, and it's taken me up to 3 months, 6 months. It just depends on the economics. I have a list of 1,000 buyers that don't qualify, but they're working on it. So buyers are everywhere. It's pretty amazing. But to get the right buyer for your house, it takes time. And so, you know, I teach people to be patient. Real estate is all patience. If you don't have patience in this business, you're not going to be very successful. And when I first started, I was 23 years old, and I had no patience. I wanted to buy the house, paint it, sell it in the same day. Unfortunately, that's unrealistic. 6 months is probably a good going rate, but you know, with the hot market right now, 3 months is average. How can you sell ugly houses? Well, the demand for affordable housing is so high that these plumbers, painters, roofers, electricians, they don't care what the house looks like. They'll fix it. So that's kind of how I fell into this system. Was I had all these buyers that said, hey man, I don't care what the house looks like. I'll fix it. You don't need to fix it. I'm like, oh man, you just saved me $20,000. So that's pretty exciting to not have to rehab these houses, especially when you buy, you know, 20, 30 houses in a month. You got to do all that rehab. It's a lot of work. Can I renovate and rent? Absolutely. And sometimes we recommend that. You know, when you buy 10 houses that are in good condition, you know, just clean them, paint them, and rent them out and wait for the appreciation, and then you can sell them retail. So we recommend that as well if you're interested in that strategy. And how do I get paid? I get a 3% commission on every house that you buy, and then when I go and sell, I get up to a 6% commission. And if the property is damaged, when you foreclose on the house, then you would just clean it up and sell it again. You know, it's just a process. It's just like going to Walmart and buying paper plates. You know, it's a process. You have to drive to Walmart. You gotta get the paper plates, and then you run out of paper plates. You gotta go back to Walmart. It's kind of boring, but it's the same thing with real estate. You just buy a house, clean it up, rent or sell. That's the same thing. What about flipping? The flippers in town, there's thousands of them from all over the world, because you know the houses in San Antonio are still extremely affordable. And so you can flip as well, but I recommend that you buy, clean, owner finance, or rent. And if you rent for 1 year or 2 years, then you can flip it and get some more appreciation on your property. And if you have any questions, just type them in, and we'll take it from there.
Anybody have any questions? Put them in now. Thank you. Guess you can keep going, John. I'll let you know if we get anything.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
So, this is our deal of the week. We have so many deals, we don't know which one to put on here, but this is a little house. It's actually a 3-bedroom, Joe, but that's okay. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, north of downtown. I'm sorry, west of downtown, and the place west of downtown is being revitalized. I never thought I'd see the day that place was going to get cleaned up, but it's being revitalized. I'm seeing multi-million-dollar lofts being built, new housing, new schools. It's a pretty neat little area. It's beautiful as well. We have 2 or 3 major universities in the area, and so we're asking for that deal, $35,000 cash. And exit strategy, you can owner finance for probably 59. You have here 49. You could probably get up to 59, and that's high. Low 59. So the exit strategy here is kind of low, but max you can get is probably 59,000 at $650 a month with 3,000 to 5,000 down, and or you can clean and rent it out and wait for the appreciation. And there's a video attached on one of the properties, kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look of kind of what I do. And I physically evaluate all these properties. I'm a hands-on field guy, so I physically inspect all the property. But when I buy something out of state or out of country, I have an inspector do that. And in conclusion, affordable houses. I mean, you can buy a house for $100,000 and rent it for $1,200 all day long. But if you buy a house for $50,000 and rent it for $900, your return on investment is just way much better. And right now, the market is appreciating in San Antonio. We're not a California, Las Vegas, Florida market. We appreciate 5%, 10% a year. You're not going to see double appreciation or 50% appreciation. It's just a small 5%, 10%. And then when the market crashes, it only crashes 5%, 10%. So it's a pretty good deal. It's a great area to invest that you don't have to worry about, losing 50% of your equity in a deal. And this is our contact information. If you have any questions, contact Joe. And then if you're a serious buyer or people with cash, just contact Joe. And I think that's it. And I went through this pretty fast, but the bottom line is this strategy requires cash. And if you don't have cash or you don't have access to cash, then you would have to in order to make money, you would have to help us sell houses. So we have about 30 houses right now that need to be sold. So if you don't have any money, you can help us sell those 30 houses, and I'll give you, depending on the deal, because some of my deals are like $30,000. So on a small deal, you can get $500. On a bigger deal, say it's $50,000, I can give you maybe up to 3%, so that's $1,500. It's not a lot of money, but if you can do one a month, one a week, it'll feed you, and you can get experience, because real estate is all marketing. There's no magic words for real estate. It's all marketing. You got to market to get private money. You got to market to find these houses, and you got to market to sell. It's just a marketing campaign always. And if you do it right, the money comes. And like I said, this is not a get-rich process. It took me 5 to 8 years to build my nest egg, but I had to learn patience. And if you're in it for if you're in it to get rich, you're probably not going to be successful. If you're in it to build wealth long term with patience, we'd like to support you with that vision. So give Joe a call, and then if you're serious, Joe will contact me, and then I will call you so we can have a one-on-one. Thank you, and have an excellent real estate day.
Thank you, John. Thanks everybody for joining us. And as I said, I'll send you a link to this presentation. I should have it up by the end of the week. And as John said, if you have any questions, please contact me. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.